Hello, everybody, and welcome to another segment of Divine Femininity United. I am your girl, Dr. Bianca, Miss B. Lee, and we are here for yet another session of our book reading, our collective book reading entitled Power versus Force. It is written by Dr. David R. Hawkins, who is an amazing, phenomenal, transformative conscious author, doctor, and that is what we need, you all, in the wellness arena. Okay. The subtitle here is The Hidden Determinants of Human Behavior. Okay. This is amazing. Hello, everyone who is here. I am live on Clubhouse. I have my spiritual son here. Hello. And then Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, X, formerly known as Twitter. Oh my goodness, you all are in the building. Okay. My good sister on YouTube, she says, I am here. I am accounted for. Okay. I know that's right. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for your presence. Share. If you would, if you don't mind, I would love for you to do that. But we are early in our early stages here of this book. We are only on chapter 3, you all. Okay. It was a great opening. We do the preface, we do the introduction. So the author had to lay the foundation, and I understand why, because you're dealing in the realm of psychology, you're dealing in the realm of kinesiology, you're dealing in the realm of behavioralism, you're dealing in those realms, but he's laying the foundation to explain the interconnectedness of body and spirit, right? And knowing who we are and using that knowledge for our wellness, for our expansion, for our consciousness, to know who we are, and then demonstrate that knowing in this realm. Okay. The only reason that we kind of suffer from the things that we suffer from is because, quite honestly, we've detached from that knowing of who we are, right? Or we've forgotten who we are. And so our objective in this life, in this iteration, is to reconnect, remember, recollect that knowledge, and then operate and demonstrate in this realm from that remembrance. Okay. Aligning with with your higher self. Okay. If you hear my dog in the background, she is sleeping and she is dreaming. And in her dream, I don't know who she's chasing, okay? But she's chasing and barking at somebody. So, and she is sleeping very well. So we're going to leave her be, okay? All righty. So listen, we're going to go into chapter 3, you all. As you know, on Tuesday evenings, I try not to keep everybody long because it is pretty late. It's 8 o'clock, after 8 o'clock on the East Coast. And I try to get you all to be, to have your evenings, not infringing on your time with your families, children, spouse, even self. Okay. You winding down. So I don't want to infringe on that. But here we go. Chapter 3. It is entitled Test Results and Interpretation. One of the goals of the study is to generate a practical map of the energy fields of consciousness so as to delineate the range and general geography of an uncharted area of human investigation. In order to make this more easily understandable for the reader, the numerical designations arrived at for the various energy fields have been rounded to comparative figures. So you got to have the book, you all. You got to get the book. The book is always, available for you to get. So if you need the book and you want to follow along in future chapter readings, then do so. Reach out to me, send me your email address, and I'll forward the book over to you. Okay, it's just a $5 fee to do so. And I ask a $5 fee because although these platforms are free to air on, it is not free to air on them simultaneously. Hello, somebody. Okay. What did the church say? The church say the gospel is free, but it costs to spread it. Okay. All righty. So moving forward, it says, as we look at the map of consciousness, which is on the following page here, it becomes clear that the calibrated levels that correlate with specific processes of consciousness, emotions, perceptions, or attitudes, worldviews, and spiritual beliefs. If space, my apologies, permitted, the chart could be extended to include all areas of human behavior. Throughout, the research results are mutually corroborating. The more detailed and extensive the investigation, the greater their corroboration was. Now, just to give a backstory, chapter 2, this is why it's very important, you all, that we come together, that you try to make at least the sessions or try to follow the replay so that you can follow along. Because if you're just popping in on chapter 3, you like, huh? Who, what now? What happened? Because who, all right? Because it is a lot of jargon, okay? It's a lot of medical jargon. But to sum up what the last chapter was, he did a test. He did testing on some subjects, people, okay? And he was testing the intelligence of our energy sensors, our muscular sensors, and how it's so brilliantly um crafted. We're so brilliantly, programmed to where, like, our bodies are just immaculate. They really, really and truly are. And that's why it's imperative for us to know the tools that we have, and then learn how to allow them to work for us, right? So our bodies, whether we are conscious of dangers, whatever, seen and unseen, our bodies are aware of it all, because energetically our bodies know. They know. Energy knows. Okay, so if you are around certain things that is not for you, your body will inform you. Okay, and so he was able to gauge those and measure that testing by measuring whether the muscles would go weaker in when stimulated in negativity, or stronger when stimulated in positivity. He was able to test it irrefutably, and it was reproducible. Okay, which is, that's everything right there. When you can, it's not just a theory, it's not just a one-time thing. This is a repeated process. And so he was able to do that. Just to sum it up, he was able to, one of the tests that he did, he put a dab of sugar on the tongue of several people. Instantly, hear me, instantly the muscles grew weaker. But then he used like a nutritional something and put it on the tongue. Instantly the muscles grew stronger. He then moved on to another. That was the tasting, right? Then he moved on to a sight test. He had two apples, looked like they were identical, looked like they were both fresh, shining, good, or whatever the case. He showed one apple. One apple was full of toxins, full of pesticides, full of, covered in wax for preserving or whatever. And then the other was organic. He showed the one that was organic. Instantly, the muscles of the people who looked at this, just looked at the apple, went stronger. He showed the apple that was full of pesticides. Instantly, the muscles went weaker. Okay. No, we're talking about how our bodies know. Our bodies simply know, right? Then he handed out white envelopes filled with something, right? The white envelopes went across the board. I think it was 1,000 people, so 500 of the people received an envelope that had a packet of artificial sweetener inside of it. Okay, mind you, envelopes are not see-through; they're not transparent at all. But the other 500 received an envelope with something positive in it, something healthy, something, affirming. The 500 that had the envelope with the artificial sweetener tested weaker. Just holding it in their hand in a sealed envelope that they could not see, where they were not aware or conscious of what was in there. The body energetically knew that it was something that wasn't good for them, and it responded with a weaker response. Right now, that's what we read in chapter 2. Let me go further and give you some real-time testing. Just last night, for me, I didn't even try to test. Okay, this wasn't even, I wasn't even aware of this. Okay, but this is why it is very important that we read on the pace and the schedule that we read, because I'm not one that want to speed through a book, right? I want to take a chapter at a time, so it gives us time to meditate on it, to replay it, to apply it, to, you know what I mean, to really process it and know the stuff for ourselves, not just read about it, but know it for ourselves. So me, I had been meditating on what we read last time, just in awareness, just thinking about it, and being in awe about it or whatever, replaying the video. Next thing you know, I last night I worked pretty late, in the evening, and so last night I had a hankering for something sweet, but I knew it was too late, and I said, okay, I don't want to do anything too, crazy, too hefty or whatever, because I do have to get rest. Plus, it's after hours, so I said I'm just gonna whip up some banana cream pudding. So it was just a box of Jello pudding, right? And then you just add milk. I don't drink cow's milk because I believe this is for cows' babies. I'm just saying, that's just me. No condemnation, right? But I use oat milk. So I used the oat milk and I whipped it up, just two ingredients. I whipped it up and then I put it back in the fridge so it can solidify, kind of chill, get thicker or whatever. Once it got thicker, I'm a texture person, so I wanted to add a little crunch to it. I added some almonds, some raisins. So I'm doctored it up, make it a little semi-healthy. So I was okay with that. But I took the first bite. It was good, flavorful, everything. But then on the back end of that bite, I had a little slight nausea. Slight. I'm talking about very faint, but it was there. I noticed it was there. I was like, okay, it was weird because I don't get nauseous at all. So I said, okay, well, that was weird. Okay, whatever. But I was conscious of it. So then I took the second bite. The nausea went a little stronger. I said, okay, what is this? Okay, what in the world? So I drank some water. And if you know me, I don't drink anything other than water. So I drank some water. And I washed it down. I said, okay, well, I don't, that's weird, but okay, right? This blew my mind. So then the third bite, because I went for a third one. What? I went for a third bite, right? And immediately wanted to jet to the restroom to get this stuff out of my system. Because the nausea overtook my body. I said, oh, once everything settled down, I said, what in the world was that? And then I sat back in my office chair and I laughed so hard, you all. And I said, yes, body. Yes, thank you. I sent so much gratitude to my body. Thank you. Because, yes, ma'am, you better get me together. Okay. My body instantly told me, now that I'm cognizant of how brilliant our bodies are, right? Because we just read that chapter, the not even days before that. So I've been meditating on that. Sure enough, when that thing dawned on me and I had a real time testing moment for myself, I said, body, I thank you. I thank you because in that moment, my body did exactly what it is supposed to do for me. And that is protect me from anything that is not fit for my temple. Because if you know, Jello and the flavoring and stuff, those are artificial flavors. Those are artificial sweeteners. They are not organic at all. They are not meant for our bodies, right? Artificial food colorings and dyes and all of this stuff. It's not meant for our bodies. So when I everything dialed down and I drank some water, kind of washed everything away or whatever the case, I then decided, let me get some almonds and some raisins. I ate them, you all, and I was just fine. Just fine. Not a piece of nausea anywhere. I said, whoa. So that right there was my real time test for myself. And I said, wow. Now, keep in mind, that was a form of consumption, right? Me eating something. Just like with the testes, they were consuming. They consumed by way of a drop of something on their tongue, taste. They consumed by way of what they saw, right? Sight. They consumed by way of what they felt. It was in their hand with the envelope. That's feel. What about energy? What about being around in surroundings that is not for you? and our bodies say so? What about being connected to friends, even some family, that is not for us and our bodies say so? What about that? What about watching something on television that is not conducive for our bodies, our energy, our mentality, our spiritual safe space, and our bodies tell us this? How often have we overridden the warning from our bodies? Like I did. I felt the slight nausea after the first bite, and I did it again. It got stronger after the second bite, and what I do? Did it again, overriding the sophisticated system that our bodies are. Hmm. Consumption in all forms is consumption, right? I said, my God. So if one small item that is some negative stimuli can weaken your muscle instantly, one time, one small instance, what does repeated over years do to your body? Hmm. What does repeated negative stimuli over years do to your mentality, due to your spiritual strength, due to your, right? I said, wow, this is the stuff that I love. I absolutely love this. Right here is a part of growing and getting to know you. Getting to know you, because a lot of all of us, not a lot of us, every one of us are highly sophisticated, fashion form, impeccably made, and we have no clue, no idea. We have no idea. We have what Batman would call a fully equipped utility belt, and don't know how to use the tools on there. I would have never known that. Listen, but then I thought about it and I said, listen, when I'm hungry, my stomach say so. When my head, when I'm overworked, my head say so. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If I'm sad, my heart says so. Definitely. Let's go further. When we're horny, hello, our loins say so, right? The problem is we don't still ourselves enough to listen. And if it doesn't make sense to our logical thinking, or if we're adamant about doing what we want to do anyway, regardless of the warning, we're going to push through and override the system. That's how we get in trouble. That's how immune systems, go weak. That's how we put ourselves. That's how we become unsafe, when we don't listen to what our inner beings are saying to us and trying to help us with. Now, said all that to say, let's get back to the book, right? So, because we're coming off the heels of the test and things like that. So I wanted to bring some, put some backstory to that, so you all can understand as we're going into chapter 3 what he's talking about when he's talking about the map of consciousness and the testing and stuff like that. Okay. So now here we go. He has the map of consciousness here, and there are columns that are titled God view, which is self, all being, one, loving, wise, merciful, inspiring, enabling, okay, permitting, indifferent. Okay, so now, it's going from, okay, so the map of consciousness, you have the higher elements of God, which is self, all being, one, loving, wise, merciful, inspiring, enabling. Then you go down. Okay, so the middle of that is permitting. Then down, lower is indifferent, vengeful. These are the titles that we give God: indifferent, vengeful, denying, punitive. Let's see, deceitful, condemning, vindictive, despiteful, despising. So those are the lower things. Okay, so the map of consciousness, in another column it says life view. And then it says level, enlightenment, peace, joy. Got it. Okay. So these are the level of consciousness. That's what this is. Levels of consciousness. You can find this if you just look this up on Google, the levels of consciousness. Okay. Hey, Sean on Facebook. He said, hey, the goddess, you better know it. You better know it. Okay, here we go. So that's the levels of consciousness. Okay, anybody can look up the levels of consciousness on Google, and you can become familiarized with that. Okay, continuing to read, it says the critical response point in the scale of consciousness calibrates at level 200. Okay, which is the level associated with integrity and courage. All attitudes, thoughts, feelings, and associations, entities, or historical figures below that level of calibration make a person go weak. Those that calibrate higher make subjects go strong. This is the balance point between weak and strong attractors, between negative and positive influence. At the levels below 200, the primary impetus is personal survival, although at the very bottom of the scale, the zone of hopelessness and depression, even this motive is lacking. The higher levels of fear and anger are characterized by egocentric impulses arising from this drive for personal survival. At the level of pride, the survival motive may expand to comprehend the survival of others as well. As one crosses the demarcation, others become increasingly important. By the 500 level, that's an enlightened level there. The happiness of others emerges as the essential motivating force. The high 500s are characterized by interest in spiritual awareness for both oneself and others. And then by the 600s, the good of mankind and the search for enlightenment are the primary goals. From 700 to 1,000, life is dedicated to the salvation of all of humanity. Okay, so when I told you about the testing that they did in chapter 2, they were testing the gauges based on these numbers right here, right? And anytime that there was a negative stimuli, it was something that the people tested lower numbers versus a positive stimuli, and they tested higher. Okay. Next section, discussion. Reflection on this map can bring about a profound expansion of one's empathy for life in its variety of expressions. If we examine ostensibly, okay, I had to sound that out, y'all. Ostensibly less virtuous emotional attitudes, we realize they're neither good nor bad. Moralistic judgments are merely a function of the viewpoint from which they proceed. We see, for instance, that a person in grief, which calibrates at the low energy level of 75, that's low, my goodness, will be in much better condition if he rises to anger, which calibrates at 150. Anger itself, a destructive emotion, is still a low state of consciousness. But as social history shows, apathy can imprison entire subcultures as well as individuals. If the hopeless can come to want something better, which is desire at 125, and then use the energy of anger at 150 to develop pride, which will equal 175, they may then be able to take the step to courage, which calibrates at 200, and proceed to improve their individual or collective conditions. I got it. So if they can slowly but surely raise their energies up, okay, coming from grief at 75, which is very low, my goodness, okay, and then come up some, you know what I'm saying? And it's slowly but surely, but being aware, like being deliberate about their energy levels, conscious levels, and really, really going up slowly but surely, then they can potentially reach the level of courage, of peace, of integrity, of love, and so forth and so on. Okay. Conversely, the person who has arrived at a habitual state of unconditional love will find anything less to be unacceptable. As one advances in the evolution of his individual consciousness, the process starts to perpetuate and correct itself so that self improvement becomes a way of life. That's right. This phenomenon can be commonly observed among members of 12-step groups who constantly work at trying to overcome such negative attitudes as self pity or intolerance. Even people further down on the scale of consciousness may find these same attitudes acceptable and will quite righteously defend them. Throughout history, all of the world's great spiritual disciplines have been concerned with techniques to ascend through these levels of consciousness. Most have also implied or even specifically stated that to move up this ladder is an arduous task. Success depends on having a teacher or at least teachings to give specific instruction and inspiration to the aspirant. okay, who might otherwise despair over his inability to achieve the goal unaided. Hopefully, this chart will help to facilitate this ultimate human endeavor. So what he's saying is, doing it by yourself, it can be done, right? But it probably helps more, and you could probably achieve it more if you had support of someone who's been through the process, someone who can, assist you, hold your hand. And y'all know I often say we're only holding each other hand, walking each other back home, right? Home to our most highest self, home to our center, right? And so if you're walking the journey by yourself, it can be a little overwhelming, it can be a little discouraging, because it's not an overnight thing. You didn't get to your debilitating state overnight. So it's going to take some time, right? And you're going to need some support in that. Everybody's not capable of walking a hermit journey. Not at all. Hermit means to be alone, to have that introspection time, that reflective time. Everybody can't do it, because they'll slip and fall into depression. Okay. I know this. I've seen it so much. All right. So here we go. The epistemological effect of awareness of this schema is subtle, but can be far reaching. Implications of these findings have pragmatic application to sports, medicine, psychiatry, psychology, personal relationships, and the general quest for happiness. Contemplation of the map of consciousness can, for instance, transform one's understanding of causality. As perception itself evolves with one's level of consciousness, it becomes apparent that what the world calls the domain of causes is, in fact, the domain of effects. By taking responsibility for the consequences of his own perceptions, the observer can transcend the role of victim to an understanding that nothing out there has power over you. It isn't life's events, but how one reacts to them and the attitude that one has about them that determines whether such events have a positive or negative effect on one's life, whether they're experienced as opportunity or as stress. That is so true. That is so true. Psychological stress is the net effect of a condition that is being resisted, but the condition does not have any power in itself. Nothing has the power to create quote unquote stress. The loud music that raises the blood pressure of one person can be a source of delight to another. Yeah, so it's very subjective. A divorce may be traumatic if it's unwanted, or a release into freedom if it's desired. Hello, somebody. I can attest to that one. Amen. The map of consciousness also casts a new light on the progress of history. The distinction between force and true power is most important for the purpose of this study. We can, for example, investigate a historical epic such as the end of British colonialism in India. We can calibrate the position of the British Empire at that time, which is one of the self-interest and exploitation. We find that it was well below the critical level of 200 on the scale of consciousness. The motivation of Mahatma Gandhi, calibrated at 700, I believe that, was very near the top of the range of normal human consciousness. Gandhi won in this struggle because his position was one of far greater power. The British Empire represented force, which is calibrated at 175, and whenever force meets power, force is eventually defeated. That's so true. We may observe how throughout history, society has tried to treat social problems by legislative action, warfare, market manipulation, laws, and prohibitions, all manifestations of force, only to see these problems persist or recur despite the treatment. Although governments or individuals proceeding from positions of power are myopic, to the sensitive observer, it eventually becomes obvious that conditions of social conflict won't disappear until the underlying origins have been exposed and healed. So true. The difference between treating and healing is that in the former, the context remains the same, whereas in the latter, the clinical response is elicited by a change of context so as to bring about an absolute removal of the cause of the condition rather than mere recovery from its symptoms. Exactly. It's one thing to prescribe an hypertensive medication for high blood pressure. It's quite another to expand the patient's context of life so that he stops being angry and repressive. That's it. And that's the one thing that the medical field you all will not ever do. They are not going to remedy the problem. They're going to suppress or bandage the problem because it's a money grab, because they make their money from tests and pharmaceuticals, right? So when they prescribe a pharmaceutical that gives that suppresses the ailment, the initial ailment, but then gives you 12 others by way of side effect, it can create other problems, which then will result in other pharmaceuticals, and the system goes on and on. Not to mention the insurance game and all of that good stuff, right? That's why they will never mitigate it, which is why I believe he brought up this example. It's one thing to recover. It's one thing to prescribe a medication for high blood pressure. It's another thing to help the patient to stop being angry and repressive that brings that results in high blood pressure. Teach them how to still themselves and meditate, how to respond instead of react. That'll reduce their blood pressure. Yep. The empathy derived from contemplating this map of consciousness will hopefully make the path to joy a shorter one. The key to joy is unconditional kindness to all life, including one's own, which we refer to as compassion. Without compassion, little of any significance is ever accomplished in human endeavors. We may generalize to the greater social context from individual therapies, wherein the patient can't be truly cured or fundamentally healed until he invokes the power of compassion, both for himself and others. At that point, the healed may become a healer. That is good, you all. That was the end of chapter 3. This is why I love this book. Okay. I love this book because the chapters are super short, but they're chock full of wisdom, full of wisdom, enough wisdom for us to walk away and chew on it until the next time we meet. Okay. Map of consciousness. Make yourself aware of it. Okay. The levels of consciousness. And then here's another step for this. Locate yourself. Locate yourself. Locate where you are. Like, look at your truth, right? Because in order for us to really, 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 really map out a plan on getting to where we desire to be, we got to be honest with where we currently are. You got to be honest. So when you look at that map of consciousness, scan it through your heart space. You're sitting with yourself, so ain't no judgment. You're not judging yourself, right? And this is not a condemnation session. So we're not gonna do woe is me and I just can't get right. No, we're not doing that. Don't even try it. We're not even about to do that. We're solution finders. We're solution, driven. We're not gonna wallow in the matter at all. Okay. And understand that whatever quote unquote you deem a mistake, that's an isolated event. It is not indicative of who you are, right? The better, the more honest we are to ourselves and with ourselves, the sooner we can get ourselves to the higher state, that where we belong. Because ultimately, you being at a lower state is not where you supposed to be in the first place. You being there is an indicator that you have disconnected from who and where you're supposed to be, who you are and where you're supposed to be. Okay. That's not even yours to begin with. If you are disconnected from love or higher, then you've taken on other traits that don't belong to you anyway. So there's no reason to feel away. Just take it off and hand it and return it to sender. There you go. That's what you do. Take it off, take the borrowed stuff off and return it to sender and get back to your settings. Get back to your place of home. Okay. So when you do this, scan the map of consciousness, identify self, identify current state, and say, okay, all right, I desire to be at the level of joy. I desire to be there. Or at the level of gratitude. I desire to be there. How many levels between where I am to where I want to be? Okay, 5, 6, 4. Okay, great. Cool. What will it take for me to get there? I say, me personally, I say being grateful for who you are, what you have, who you're surrounded by. Gratitude will send you there, right? Cutting out complaints start with 24 hours. Start with cutting no complaining for 24 hours. Start there. No complaining about anything for 24 hours. Start there. Then go to, it's a book written, it's called Magic. It's written by Rhonda Byrne. She's the author of Secret. Get that book. I have that book. If you want that book, let me know. I'll send it to you, no charge. Okay. It's called Magic. Magic helps you to identify things that you overlook every day to be great and show you how to be grateful for it. It's a 28-day gratitude journey. Go there. I can guarantee you your daily habits, if you switch them up, it will enable higher elevations. I promise you. Change what you're doing. It'll change how you're feeling, how you're thinking. It'll change what you're emitting, and then will result in the change of what you're receiving. Okay? Because we all know energy finds itself. It matches its own self. Right? So let's look at that. Let's look at that. Again, if you need the book, people, I say it all the time. Get the book. If you need the reading material, inbox me, shoot me an email, whatever you got to do. Okay. However you can reach me. If you know me personally and you want to text me. I'll send the book to you. Just send me your email address. The email address for those who are watching via video is on the screen. For those who are in other places, it is somewhere in the captions above my head somewhere. Okay. Do that. Get the book, because I want you to follow this, not just to be with us. I want you to follow it for yourself, right? Follow it for yourself. Whatever pace you got to read it at, follow it for yourself so you can see where you are and you can see how to return to you. Right? Get there, because your iteration in this life needs you to be there, not to get sucked up in this life, not to get caught up in the things of this place. You're not from this place. Keep that in mind. You're not from this place. You're in this place. You're not of this place. Right? But oftentimes we've gotten here, we've been here for so long, and we've forgotten who we are, that we have taken on this place. No. Get back to you. Get back to your default settings. All right. Your factory settings. Get back to your factory settings. Okay. All righty. For those who need to know my website, you want to go to my website and you want to talk further or send an inquiry, have a chat one-on-one, get yourself a session with me, a reading with me, whatever you want to do. I'm there. You can reach out to me. I'm there. Follow me on social media. You all, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. It's all Dr. Bianca Miss B. Lee. And that's it. I told you all Tuesday night, I don't like to keep you long because we already started at 8:00. It's already late. It's getting dark. Some of you all are winding down with your children. I know they probably, up in an uproar because it's still early. Okay. So go ahead and get your evening, settled in and just sit back and think about what we just went over today. Okay. Think about that, become familiar with it, apply it to your life, run it past your scan it through your being, scan it through your heart space, right? And apply it. We'll meet again on Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here at Divine Femininity United. I love you. I mean it. There's absolutely positively nothing you can do about it. Don't you even try it. See you on Sunday. Peace.